Good morning, everybody. The governor will be here shortly, and as you can see from these two chairs here, he'll be bringing a special guest with him. You can probably guess who will be sitting in the black chair and who will be sitting on the stool. But I'm Dave Hardy, and I'm the Secretary of Revenue for Governor Justice. And those of you that don't know me, which would probably be almost everybody here, I was a Kanawha County Commissioner for 16 years before I accepted Governor Justice's appointment. So I'm very happy to be back in a county commission courtroom. I like county commission courtrooms, and I like local government because when you pick up your phone and call 911, it's not Charleston that's answering, it's local government. And when you pick up the phone and you call for police, it's local government. So I love local government, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come out and talk to you for a few minutes before the governor comes about Amendment 2 and the governor's plan moving forward. So, long story short, in January 17, the governor appointed me Secretary of Revenue, and the first set of financial reports we looked at, the governor and I looked at them together. It was for fiscal year 17. We were halfway through fiscal year 17, and we had just gotten near to the Capitol, and the first financial report we saw, state of West Virginia for fiscal year 17 was $217 million in the red. That was our beginning spot, $217 million in the hole. I thought, wow, we never had this at Kanawha County when I was commissioner down there. Then the budget director handed us the second report. And the second report said projection for fiscal year 18. And the projection for fiscal year 18 was we would be $497 million in the red. So our starting point when the governor was sworn in was we were projected to be over $700 million in a deficit position. Now I want to fast forward you to June 30th of this year, 2022. One of the greatest days in the history of West Virginia's financial, probably the greatest day in the history of West Virginia's financial future. On June 30th of 2022, we closed our books, and West Virginia had a $1,308 million surplus under the leadership of Governor Justice. And he's not here yet, but I think he deserves a round of applause for that. The governor immediately said to us, I'd like to start cutting taxes right now. And what would be your ideas on how to cut taxes? And we did our research, and our research was really clear. There are 9 states that don't have a state income tax. Most of them you're familiar with. Examples being Florida, Tennessee, and Texas are 2 or 3 of the biggest. Nevada, many of us have been to Nevada. Then there's some other states you may not have been to, Alaska, South Dakota, Wyoming. Those states, in the last 10 years, their population growth has been double what the population growth has been in the other 41 states. Those states are all growing, particularly Texas and Florida, and Tennessee too. They're growing like crazy. Their economies have grown 56% faster than the other 41 states. Then we did some additional research about teleworkers. Teleworkers are doing exactly what you would expect them to do. We all know telework is here, and it's here for good. People who work out of their homes, they could be any place. They want to go to states where they have great quality of life, low crime, just like we have here in West Virginia, and where taxes are low. And that's one of the reasons why you see so many people moving into the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. They're trying to get away from Maryland and Virginia taxes. Now imagine West Virginia with no income tax and what possibilities we would have. But we've got to do it responsibly. So the governor said, I'm going to introduce a bill to cut the state income tax by 10% right now. That was July of this year. It would have been for this year, 2022. That's $271 million tax cut. First step, 10% cut. The House of Delegates passed it in one day. But unfortunately, our West Virginia State Senate would not even hear the bill, would not even put it on the agenda. Why would they not put it on the agenda? Amendment 2. Now, Amendment 2, we all start our early voting tomorrow. Amendment 2 is on the ballot for starting with tomorrow all the way through to November 8th. Why is it on the ballot? Because you have to always have the people vote to amend our state constitution. Can't be done by the legislature. It has to be done by the vote of the people. In November of 1932, you think about that, almost 90 years ago, the people of West Virginia voted to keep the property tax revenue, and I'm talking personal and real estate property taxes, with local government. That's the revenue that we all in local government use to provide the services that we want to provide the citizens. I'm talking the cities, counties, and the schools. That revenue is baked into the Constitution. It is a constitutional guarantee that that revenue cannot be taken by the West Virginia legislature for other purposes. Well, Amendment 2 asks the public to give the control of the property tax revenue to the West Virginia legislature. Now, this is not an insignificant amount of money. Statewide, it's over $500 million. So right now, for 90 years, that $500+ million has been guaranteed to local government by Constitution. Amendment 2 says, let the legislature have that power, and then let the legislature budget that money back. Every year, in the spring, when the legislature passes its budget, and then the governor signs the budget, you are asking, with your hat in your hand, in Charleston, please, legislature, please give us our money back. So the current legislature is saying, oh, we could do that. We'd be glad to do that because we have a big surplus right now. But I want you to think about what you're being asked to do with Amendment 2. You're giving up the constitutionally guaranteed revenue, and you're saying forevermore, for the next 90, the next 100 years, no matter what happens in this state, you are asking the West Virginia legislature to budget your money back to you. Now, you don't have to look too far back. Less than 10 years ago, West Virginia was in a deficit position. When the governor and I arrived, West Virginia was in a deficit position. If you vote for Amendment 2, you're saying we're willing to get in line with everybody else in Charleston for our money. I'm talking about Medicaid, PEIA, employees, state employee pay raises, jail bills, and so on and so forth. So if you're willing to take that risk and give up the constitutional guarantee on a promise forever, every year, forever, then you should vote for Amendment 2. If you want to keep your money in your community and be constitutionally guaranteed that revenue, you should vote no for Amendment 2. So that's the reason the governor and I are here today. And let me say this, I'll say it here, and I've said it to the West Virginia legislature. The West Virginia budget will be very hard pressed to take on this type of obligation. We're talking $500, $600, $700 million every year. Why in the world would you want to give up your guaranteed revenue and put your future in the hands of legislators in Charleston? That also gives them a lot of control. Right now, you control the money. Your county commission controls it. Your school boards control Patrol. So that's why we're here today. And that's why the governor and I have been traveling. This is the 19th meeting we've done around the state. Because we want you to be educated about Amendment 2. Now the governor is going to tell you today about the car tax and his plan to eliminate the car tax and why that's so important as well. So that being said, Mitch, is the governor here yet? Okay. The Babydog wanders in, I know that's my cue. That means I need to sit down. I can usually hear the governor coming down the hall. We're good? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the man that has always told us the truth and who took us from a deficit position to record financial success, the 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice and Babydog.
How you doing there, Mr. Secretary? Y'all sit down, please. My baby, get in your little bungalow. How about that? How are all y'all doing? Good. That's really good. Really good. Well, first of all, I know that I know you listened to the secretary. And I don't really know the position of a lot of folks that are here, but I hope you'll listen to me. And then when we get done, if any of you want to come down and see Babydog, you can do that too. Okay? So let's get that off the table. All right, and then I'll sit all the way over there. You can talk to Babydog, and then I'll let them. No, I'm just teasing. You know, a lot of people may wonder, all through all this stuff, well, what does a bulldog have to do with anything? You know, and I wouldn't have gotten it either. But along the way, this pandemic's been pretty tough. It's been pretty tough on every last one of us. I hope and pray that you haven't lost loved ones, but I bet you know people that have if it's not been you guys. And so, with that, you know, when you read now approaching 7,500 names of people that we've lost, and you know how the families are hurting, and it's sad beyond belief. It's astronomical. You know, if you think back when this all started, crying out loud, we were real hopeful we wouldn't have a case. And then we were real hopeful that we wouldn't have a death. And then when we had our first death in West Virginia, it was a big time media deal. And now, every day, it's 10 and 8 and 26 and whatever. And we become numb in some ways. But please, please, just know that we aren't necessarily out of this yet. We can live with it. And I'm a real promoter of the vaccines because I don't have any more bullets in the gun. I don't have anything with that. I am a guy that is super respectful of individual rights because that's made us who we are. So if you decide, no, I don't want to take that shot, okay, I'm good. I'm great with that. But I've still got to try to encourage folks to get the shot. You know, and absolutely encourage folks that are 50 and older to get your booster shots. I mean, my great Lord, you've got to do that. Because cold weather's coming. We're going to be more inside. We'll be closer to each other. The mask thing, we all hated it, and we don't even know now that it even worked much, you know. And so with all that being said, you know, it's not going to just go away. And we've got to figure ways to just live with it. Now, getting back to this rascal who's bedding down now. When our son and daughter gave her to us, Christmas before last, you know, in just a matter of days she'll be 3. But in all of that, I never would have believed in a million years that she would be Babydog. You know, I can tell you that a news anchor asked me probably 4 months ago, says, does Babydog know she's Babydog? Well, probably she does. But the thing that is really neat is all the places I took her, over and over and over, she always made the people smile. And really and true, we needed to smile. My God, living it was tough, really tough. And I'm a real believer that God above gives you the ability to smile and laugh and know this journey's tough, really tough. So as I could see you smiling, and then the thing that was really bizarre about her is she loved everybody. And it didn't matter who you were. Rich, poor, Democrat, Republican, old, young, black, white, didn't matter. Didn't matter to her at all. And then I go back to the definition of coincidence. An everyday occurrence in which God chooses to remain anonymous. A bulldog puppy that our little grandson, who was a baby at the time, would walk around on Christmas Eve saying, where'd that baby dog go? Because he knew she was a baby dog. And we named her Babydog. And now, she makes us smile and loves everybody. The net of the whole thing is, why can't we all just do that? Wouldn't it be a billion times better world if we could do that? Now, that doesn't have anything to do with why I'm here, except I can't get away from it. You know, I mean, anywhere I go, if I show up now and I don't have a Babydog, you know, it turns into a riot against me. So, you have become much more popular than I, and I do have a tendency to get myself in trouble. You remember, I'm the guy that flashed Babydog's butt at Bette Midler to the state address. I mean, you know, I can get myself in a mess sometimes. But, you see, I'm really, really proud of West Virginians and our state, and I love you beyond good sense. And what I'll tell you today is just what I do all the time. I'll tell you the truth. I'm not immune to making mistakes. I make mistakes. But I'll tell you the truth. And I really believe and have all the confidence in the world that you'll make the right decisions on what to do. I personally believe that many, many good people in the legislature voted for the resolution to put this on the ballot and didn't have any inkling of how toxic it could be. I didn't either. I really didn't either. Back in July is when the first absolute red flags went off all over the place. We had $1.308 billion surplus. And literally, I felt like, well, let's give some money back. My God, living, you know, you're dealing with $5 gasoline and grocery prices off the chart and everything else under the sun. We got to give something back. The least we can do, especially as Republicans, the least we can do is give something back. Give a 10% income tax break to everybody tomorrow. Do it tomorrow, okay? Well, the House passed it in a day. Well, I knew it. I mean, I should call it a special session. No, this was done. This was done. And literally $254 million would flow back to you immediately. And maybe it wouldn't be the end-all, do-all, but it would help. Well, it just stopped. And I couldn't believe it. And I said, what in the world is going on? What on earth in the world is going on here? And then the more I dug, the more I found that Senate leaders have been going around all around the state trying to convince commissioners and promising everything under the sun, these funny numbers, crazy stuff and everything, all around and around and around they go. School boards and everything for a year or a year and a half. They never asked me. They never asked me anything. Nothing. Well, then, what did they do? They tagged the car tax with it to get your vote. Now, you can say what you want, but in my world, they deceived you. They basically hid what they were doing. They don't care about the car tax. They don't care a bit about the car tax. But they knew, and they went around braggadociously saying, here's how we know we get your vote. We're going to put the car tax with it, and they'll vote for it for sure then. When really and truly, all that really mattered, all that mattered in the world, and all I can do is tell you the truth as best I can tell you, is the swamp. That's all that matters. You know, at the end of the day, the worst of all of us in politics is the swamp today. I think, what is the swamp? Well, in D.C., here's what it is. In D.C., you have a situation where elected officials, House and Senate, are there. Then you have lobbyists that have all the money in the world, and they show up, and they try to convince or sway, or whatever it may be, those elected officials to line up their votes to support their cause. And the cause may be the Sierra Club, it may be big business, it could be anything. But they're trying to sway the legislatures to get their votes. They promise everything. They promise campaign donations, they promise perks, they promise, you know, we'll support you in the next election run, whatever it may be. And then those legislatures become obligated and wedded to whatever it is that they're signing on for. But you see, we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to be there to represent you. That's all there is to it. But honest to God, if you believe it works that way today, you're crazy. And I mean crazy. It's not working that way. Unfortunately, there's way too many that are there for something for themselves. Now, I would say, I've got to tell you just this. I'd bet anything you want to bet on this. But who in this room stands to gain more by Amendment 2 passing than anybody in the room? Who's going to gain more? Who's it going to help more than anybody in this room? Me. Me. Honest to goodness, my companies, you're going to give me millions of dollars. Millions. And I'm the one standing up here saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Because I didn't sign on for that. You see, I really did sign on to serve. I signed on for you. I didn't sign on for something for me. I signed on for you. Now, literally, you may buy that, not buy that, and I don't care. Because my dad would always say, and certain things in this world, if the good Lord knows, and He knows, that's all that matters. And in this situation, the good Lord knows that I know that I'm telling you the truth. Now, so let's just get for 5 minutes into the nitty-gritty, the whole thing. Here's the deal. Many of you still probably think the car tax is dangled out there. And if you get Amendment 2 passed, you'll get the car tax, but the car tax is gone. Meaning gone that you're not going to have to pay your car tax no matter what. It's done. It's completely done. Now, whether you buy that or not buy that, let me just tell you why I know that. Because through Secretary Hardy and myself, we wrote a bill. And the bill is up online and wherever you can read it. And the bill basically is saying just this, that we will rebate you back through the general revenue. We will rebate you back, dollar for dollar, cent for cent, immediately. Now they can hocus pocus you again to death and say, oh, it'll take forever, it's red tape. It's garbage. We will do that immediately, right back to you, boom. And that man right there can tell you that. We will absolutely, as soon as you pay the car tax will go to this county and it'll pay these people. But the general revenue will send you your money back, boom, right now. So now, the car tax is gone. Now, think about this a second. If this thing blows up, and I think it's going to blow up, and then my bill goes to the legislature, they aren't suicidal. You know, they tried to hoodwink you in this, but they're not suicidal. You know, if they turn in and don't give you your car tax back, they'll never be there. They'll never be there anymore. So so the car tax thing is gone. Take it off the table. Now your decision is this. Here's your decision. Now, do I want to vote for Amendment 2? Because Amendment 2 is supposed to be about changing the Constitution. It's not about a car tax. That was something to steal your vote. It's not about the car tax. It's about changing the Constitution. It's the craziest stuff in the history of the world, if you think about it. A bunch of Republicans that are against local control and for government control. I mean, how in the world did we ever get to that kind of situation? How in the world do you honestly believe that Charleston knows better on how to run your county than you? I mean, if you believe that, well then vote for it. All I can do is come here and tell you what I think, and your vote is this way. Your vote is to believe that all this goodness that's been created, you see, and again, I'm not here to toot my horn at all, but when I walked in the door, the state was bankrupt. I don't care what anybody says. This state was bankrupt, period. And nowhere to turn other than just cut. That was the whole idea, cut, and more cut, more cut. And the more we cut, more people left. And we drug the whole right with us. Bonds derated, everything in the world going on, cut, cut, cut. That's all we knew. Well, since I've been there, again, like it or not like it, whether it be road to prosperity, tourism, all the different things that are going on, now all of a sudden the state's cooking. Really, really, really cooking. Do you really believe, are you this naive to believe that we aren't going to have some potential bad time somewhere down the road? And if we do, and we take away all the county's revenue, every February you're going to line up. You're going to be right down there in Charleston with everybody else. And you're going to be begging. You're going to be begging the legislature to absolutely fund your county. That's what you're going to do. I'll guarantee it. Now, and at the end of the day, if they don't have the money for whatever the situation may be, whatever the bump is in the road, then you're toast. And you're giving up a guaranteed income stream. Guaranteed on the promise of Charleston. I think it's a terrible move. And I'll think that no matter what you say or what you think. Absolutely, I think it is a terrible move. So from my standpoint, let's be real again. If we do that and we pass it, I'll dance all the way to the bank. you'll give me millions of dollars. And it's crazy. We absolutely are turning our back, like it or not like it, on Toby and Edith out there. And y'all, we're turning our back on them. We're saying you're out there hurting like crazy about inflation and everything else. Who cares? Tell you what let's do. Let's pass this, and let's give a ton of money to gigantic corporations that aren't even located in West Virginia. And the money's going to go shoot right out the window. And then you're totally dependent upon these incredible surpluses lasting forever. Well, listen here. I don't think this is going to happen, but let me be so bizarre it's unbelievable. Just a second. Let's say we go out here when we leave, turn on the radio, and Putin, the Russian guy, has put off a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine. Now, I know that sounds really bizarre, doesn't it? But what if that happens? The stock market that fast would go to 9,000. Your 401ks are toast. Absolutely, our bonds and the rainy day fund and everything else that's going on, our investments, we would have to put money in the rainy day fund and do all kinds of things. What would happen if you have just given up all your revenue? There's no court, I mean, Lord, it was proven over and over and over. When I was there on day one, all we could do is find a way to cut things. Do I really believe a nuclear weapon's going to go off tomorrow? No, of course I don't. And I hope and pray that God forbid, that would be crazy. But I do believe that state employees are going to get pay raises. I do believe that absolutely there'll be matching dollars from the federal government, and we'll have to put in significant matching dollars for stuff, or PEI will go up, or Duke will happen. I believe that. And if you don't, then Babydog has got you the best piece of oceanfront property in Kansas that you could possibly buy. Now, if Duke happens, and it happens to all of us, it's our houses and anywhere, anything we're doing. But if that happens, right now we're rolling and cooking. Everything's good. I personally believe that we should be rewarding our people, because what West Virginia needs now is people. The other parts of it are just this. Be honest again. Berkshire Hathaway, Pure Watercraft, a big project that we're looking at right now as we speak in Weir, right now. You know, Nucor, Green Power, all these people. I mean, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, national, gigantic companies are all looking at West Virginia. And you know, I am telling you, it's serious business with me, to God above, because I'm a Christian, as a Christian could possibly be. I hope and pray anyway. Not one company has ever asked me if we'll come if you'll get rid of the machinery and inventory tax. Not one. Not one, and they're coming. Now, I want you to understand, am I anti-companies? Oh, are you kidding me? Honest to goodness, the one thing I have is my business sense and what I've done in building companies. You know, I will promise you, I don't say this braggadociously, but there couldn't be anybody that would approach the experience of business that I have that's in Charleston. No way. No possible way. So I'm absolutely pro, as I can be, bringing businesses here and bringing out-of-state businesses here. And all that, I am pro that every way I possibly can be. And if that be at some time getting rid of the machinery and inventory tax, great. But right now, it's ass backwards. It's backwards. First and foremost, what we should be doing is helping our people. And secondarily, what we should be doing is trying to figure a way to grow our people. Well, growing our people, the easiest way in the world to do both is get on a pathway of getting rid of your personal income tax. Do you realize this, that really and truly, that 10%, the 10% on the personal income tax was $254 million. If we would have given you $254 million, you'd spend it here. And the multiplier effect on that would have been our own little incentive program. If we give you 250, 250, 250, and you spend it here, before you know it, we got a real incentive program going. And on top of that, all the states all the way around us have a lower income tax than us. We'd start bringing them here. Now let me give you one last thought. If that doesn't scare you enough on what I'm telling you, let me tell you one thing that will absolutely, positively scare you beyond belief, because I am telling you what's going to happen is just this. From Jim Justice's standpoint, I could have cut every ribbon and ridden every parade. And literally, you'd have probably lined up out here on the parade, and when I went by waving at you, many of you would have said, the greatest governor in the history of the state, hands down. I don't need to be here. But really and truly, I really believe that God made me Jim Justice for a reason and made you who you are for a reason. And for me to just sit on the sideline knowing something could be bad, that's not me. That's not me at all. Again, I know that. Now, the last part is just this. Here's what I've seen from the people. When I first went out there, and I was late to the party. You see, at the end of the day, there's no way for me to lose in this whole deal here. No way. First of all, if it goes up in flames, of which I think it's going to, then we'll all win. You know, at the end of the day, if it passes, I can at least sleep knowing that I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you. You know, and at the end of the day, my 2 years is going to be up soon. And then I'm going to be gone. Now, and when I'm gone, the one thing I'll end up doing, I'll see you at Walmart or somewhere. I'll see you at the gym or at a game or somewhere. And I'll look right at you and I'll say, I told you so. Because that's what I'm doing. Now just think, you're giving up control to Charleston. Bob Pruitt at Marshall University said to me, he said, this is exactly all there is to it. And that is, all of you, give me all your money. I'm Charleston. Give me all your money. And we as politicians, you give me all your money. And you give me all your money that's still coming in. Give me all your money. And we as politicians will promise to give it back. That's nuts land. That's all there is to it. First of all, we as politicians may not even be there. Even if our intent is right and good, we may not even be there. And second of all, just this. From a standpoint of your assessment of property taxes today, you're probably assessed 60% of your property tax value. If this all blows, and the state can't fund you at the level that you're at, and honest to goodness, it will at some point in time happen. And when they can't do that, if this isn't enough, the county will have to raise your assessments and raise your property taxes. That's all there's to it. They will. Unless you want less police or less firemen or whatever, or less stuff for our seniors, they'll have to raise your taxes. So let's go through and summarize. First of all, car tax is gone. You won't have to pay your car tax. In fact, the car tax you paid last September for the year beginning in January will be refunded to you dollar for dollar or penny for penny. Very, 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 very soon. Proactive. Now, next thing is, just think, from the standpoint of whether it be schools or whether it be the firemen or whatever it may be, do you really want to give up that control? And if you do, vote for this. and you're voting for Jim Justice to pick up a few million on top of that. It's crazy. You know, and the other thing you're doing, you're driving a stake in the heart of getting rid of the personal income tax and driving real growth to West Virginia forever. Now, I don't know how to explain it any better than this. I'll answer any question you choose to ask, or I'll get Secretary Hardy to try to answer, and I'm yours. And then you can say hi to Babydog, and I'll leave. I do think that we're on the cusp of really something really neat to say, the possibility that's happening in Weirden, and it's, you know, it's right. There's so many companies that call and are coming, and it's really neat stuff. It's good stuff. Ask me anything you choose to ask, please.
Governor or Secretary Hardy, the number, you may have spoken before we came in, Secretary Hardy, but the number we keep hearing from our assessors who put these figures together, somewhere around 550 million. Did that include public utilities, TIFs, levies, supplementals, and perhaps some of the Medicaid money that has come into the state and that we'll now have to pay after the feds don't do that anymore? So it could be closer maybe to 800 million?
Yeah, it does not include the public utilities, and public utilities are about 150 million. And it's not clear in the amendment, the language of the amendment, I think I saw it on that poster over there, is so vague, you could argue that your public utilities are included or not included. If they're included, then the price tag goes up to 700 million, just on that alone. Obviously, that's a big number. Now, what was the second part of your question?
TIFs, levies, supplementals.
Yeah, every county and every city even, you know, because you got the basic statewide levy, then you got, each county has its own levies, school levies, excess levies, and then of course the cities have levies. So no, I don't think it includes all that, because you're going to have to go and break those down literally one by one by one by one. So you're talking 55 counties looking individually at all their levies, and then you have to look at the city levies and all those on top of it. So I think the math on that got fuzzy, and I'm not saying it wasn't factored in at all, because we didn't do that math. Our math was, it's $500 million plus, and the public utilities are 150. But it's very complicated, and you're making a good point there, because a lot of those levies are pledged on school bonds and other bonds, infrastructure bonds, water and sewer bonds. So the bondholders are probably thinking, what's going on? Instead of having a guaranteed revenue source in the Constitution, now the West Virginia legislature has to fund that money every year, which means the bondholders don't have a constitutionally guaranteed source of revenue to pay the bonds. It's dangerous.
Ask me, you got me? Yes, sir.
I want to be frank, this county is one of the wealthiest counties in the state.
Right.
I represent the library board in this county. The ability of the county commission, of the city of Moundsville, and the Marshall County School Board to help fund our operations is critical. The changes that would take place, as I would understand that, is they end up potentially with significantly less money in the pot for distribution down to other particular organizations. But the thing I'm wondering about, in the southern part of the state, maybe that's strong pick on the south, but I get the sense, are the proponents of doing this, selling this on the idea that we're going to share the wealth? We're going to take from those folks in Northern Vanderbilt, they may not say it that crudely, but they're going to try to convince people to vote for this because they feel there's unfairness in the amount of money that some counties are getting because of the incredible natural resource base and so forth, whatever that produces that, and then share that throughout the state. Is that part of the thinking on the part of at least some of those senators that represent those particular districts?
Well, let me try to answer this again to the very best of my knowledge, okay? We as Americans, I mean, let's be real. You know, there are a bunch of people that have asked me, you know, why don't you run for Senate? Why don't you run for Senate? Blah, 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 blah. And there's senators, you know, that have come to me and said, we need you to run for Senate, blah, blah, blah. And they say, you know, America, and the difference today is just this, and I really believe this with all my soul now. I'm not a Biden fan, so don't, you know, I hope I don't offend anybody here, but I think the administration in D.C. today has lost its way so bad. I mean, it's the most bizarre thing in the world. I mean, just can you imagine a thought in life to where we could actually, who in the right mind could come up with a thing and say, let's defund the police? I mean, really. I mean, just think about it, whether it be crime or the border or Afghanistan or whatever it may be. I mean, Jimmy, Christmas, we are doing so many things that are crazy land things, you know. But the Republicans believe, and thank God they believe this, that we're on the verge of possibly losing America as America thinks. You know, and the Democrats believe in many ways, in D.C. at least, I'm speaking of D.C., not West Virginia, D.C., you know, that we should socialize more things. We should basically all be one and the same. Well, really and truly, America was founded on just what you're saying, sir. Marshall County is one of the most profitable counties or a success story that we should all be envious of. Why should we all be now one and the same? It's ridiculous. It's not us. It's not America. It's not what we're supposed to be about. Now, and that's how I feel wholeheartedly. Let me tell you, though, what's going on in the South, because I'm from the South, okay? And I can tell you without any question what's going on in the South is probably not what you think. The southern counties that are struggling, they have X dollars, and it's not many dollars. And they are petrified that as a whole, I will promise you to God above, the southern counties in West Virginia will overwhelmingly vote against this. And the reason they will, they're scared to death. They're scared to death because Charleston today only acknowledges and thinks about really and truly the big populations or the counties that are doing great in their eyes. Now, I'm speaking in their eyes. It's much, much different than what you really may think. First of all, you're thinking right. We should not, you know, take away from Marshall and reward them and everything. We should not do that. And that's not America. But the other thing is that you may miss is they only have X number of things on the table, and if just a couple of those things are taken, then they're scared to death. So they're so against this, it's off the chart. You know, and I'm telling them that every day. I mean, you know, I keep going back to this. How in the world are we here? Why are we here? I mean, we're here because of nothing but the swamp. I mean, it's a fact. First of all, so many elections. Into this thing, you keep getting worse and worse.